Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we are on Entitled Parents. Our first post is by White Wolf. My entitled parents kidnapped me and held me hostage at their home after a major car accident. I, 32F, was in a major car accident in January of 2021. Ironically, I had been taking my boyfriend, 36M, to the ER because he had bleeding ulcers and ended up getting admitted to the hospital that night. This was still when they were enforcing COVID rules, so I was booted out of the hospital at about 3 in the morning. When I left, it was snowing, and not thinking, hopped on the freeway, which wasn't a good idea. I had been driving a lifted Jeep Cherokee with mud terrain tires, not the best ever for snowstorm driving. Getting off the freeway to go home, my brakes locked up, and I went into a light pole head first at about 60 miles per hour. My Jeep did not have airbags. That was dumb. Needless to say, my car was totaled, and I had to be extracted from the car by the fire department. This whole time I had been blacking out and losing consciousness, and I still get random flashes of I don't have all my memories from that night or several months after the accident. I got sent to the nearest trauma center, which was the same hospital I had just left. The nurses felt pretty bad about kicking me out. I ended up with a moderate to severe traumatic brain injury, broken under my left eye, hairline fractures on my skull on the left side, bruising behind my ears, and black eyes. I had also cut open the inside of my mouth, had multiple lacerations all over my face. I broke my driver's side window with my face, broke and bruised some ribs, had hairline fractures in my spine, broke my right wrist, my right knee, and my left foot, which required 2 surgeries, and I still need approximately 3 more. Needless to say, I was not doing great. I had recently gotten divorced the previous year and think that my entitled parents decided that my accident was my boyfriend's fault. I had to stay in the hospital for a total of 12 days, in which case the mild family drama exploded into a severe family inferno. As I got closer to being released, all I had wanted to do was go home to my boyfriend and our kids. He had 2 previously, and I had 1. My entitled mother decided that wasn't what she wanted. On the phone, we sound almost identical. The whole time that I was in the hospital, she had been getting on the phone and impersonating me to my apartment complex management, even going as far as calling the cops to get my boyfriend and his 2 kids removed from my apartment. They were not on my lease yet. My entitled mom also forged my signature on hospital paperwork and made up a story about how my boyfriend was abusive to me and got him banned from seeing me at the hospital. Again, forging my signature and writing a letter stating I didn't want to see him. This whole time I was still suffering from the effects of my traumatic brain injury and was delirious from the combination of pain medications and brain fog from my head injury. Entitled mom even had the locks changed on my apartment without my consent. When I finally was released from the hospital, I was in a wheelchair because of my broken foot that had just had 2 plates and 10 screws surgically put in to hold it together, and an ankle-to-hip brace on my other leg from my knee being broken. I requested to go home to my apartment, but again, entitled mom played it that I couldn't go home because I had a 2nd-story apartment and couldn't take care of myself. So I got sent to stay at my parents' house, against my will, an hour away from home, because entitled mom wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to let my boyfriend come back to my apartment. I spent almost a whole miserable month there. Entitled mom refused to take me home even after I got crutches and was able to bear some weight. Initially, they refused to even go get my crutches from town because they didn't want me to have more mobility. Eventually, it got to the point where I had a friend come and pick me up from entitled mom's house so I could go home because they kept refusing to let me go. As I gained clarity in my mind and was taken off the intense pain medication, I was able to start rectifying the situations that entitled mom made a huge mess of in my life, but I'm still trying to recover in some areas. I didn't find out until much later when medical bills started coming in that entitled mom had called my boyfriend's health insurance company, impersonating me, and had me removed from his insurance. It took months of calling and badgering and footwork on my part to get the situation figured out and have the insurance pay for what they were supposed to pay for. It almost caused me to go bankrupt. At the same time, Entitled Mom signed me up for minimal health insurance coverage through the state that I had no idea I was enrolled in until I got a bill later stating that I back owed fees. Needless to say, I eventually completely cut both Entitled Mom and my father out of life after finding out how much they tried to control and how much they messed my life up. I ended up getting protection orders after they tried to break into my house, stalked me, and sent family and friends over to harass me. This whole incident was the straw that broke the camel's back. There was quite a bit of retaliation on their side that threw my life into a total tailspin ever since, but I'm sticking to my guns and not backing down. Update. It's been about 6 months since I posted the original here and posted a clarifying update after getting slammed with a ton of comments from everyone. It's still getting new comments every day, which just blows my mind. I kind of laughed at a lot of the comments that were doubting that it was a true story, because honestly I wish it had been. I really appreciate the supportive comments from everyone who sent them too. It helped me feel a lot more validated in making sure that I stayed far, far away from my parents and smashed down those feelings of regrets and guilt. Not much headway has happened in the legal department. It has been taking much longer than we had hoped. A lot of our lawsuits are dependent on when my boyfriend's probation ends. Just to remind whoever reads this, he was arrested for perjury on a protection order that we both filed against my parents because we messed up on a date. Even though our paperwork was exactly the same, he was arrested for perjury, and I wasn't, because my mother is friends with some of the people in the prosecutor's office. He ended up taking a plea deal and had to do some community service, and we're waiting for his probation time to end so we can launch our countersuits. His divorce was finalized in March, which was a total circus. My mother left his ex-wife to sink or swim, and even refused to show up for her to be a witness during their divorce trial. We got full custody of his children, and we have been focusing on healing our family. We had our baby in February, a week earlier than planned, with an emergency C-section due to a partial placental abruption. We've been very busy focusing on our kids and learning how to take steps to heal ourselves and help our kids heal from everything they have gone through. We've been getting our finances in order and are looking at buying a home with room enough for all of us, and looking at both of us finishing school, which is easier said than done. I have to come up with $10,000 to go back and finish. The medical debt has been slowly getting removed from my credit as I've been disputing it, and we are finally stabilizing. We also finally got married, which is helping the kids feel more stable. Everything has been going really well. Thanks for all the well wishes. Sorry, the update isn't as excited as I wish it would have been. It would have been really satisfying to completely bury my parents in litigation and such, and we are planning to do some damage once his probation is done, but we're learning that some of the healing process is moving on and succeeding. Our next post is by Ray Garvader. Self-entitled mother stole our table. We were in a restaurant in Tokyo and followed instructions to get a table for lunch. This would consist of getting one of the tags at the door with a number and placing on the table to reserve. We did that, and it was a 2-table joined area. Another lady with a child also occupying a 4-seater table was staring at me slyly for some reason. I should have realized something was up then. When we were queuing, my husband noticed a woman with a baby pram went to our table and moved a baby chair over. Then she queued behind us. We went back and found our tag was switched. The number was different. We got our food, sat down at our table. Seeing she needed the table badly, I moved one table away from us so she could use it. The lady was furious and got one of the staff to ask us to move. I replied in Japanese. I'm not a native speaker, but I know the language to converse, and we said no. We got the table first and booked it the right way. She then came over and scolded us, and I replied again in Japanese. Then she spoke to us in English, telling us that she had the right as she had a child, and we should jolly well sit elsewhere. She ignored me and instead directed to my husband in English, making me wonder if she was not Japanese and obviously appealing her situation to a man. Anyhow, my husband said, "You could have just asked us nicely instead of switching our tags." She claimed it was empty. We asked for the CCTV to be shown, of which both staff and her paled. My husband felt this was beneath us to argue. She was obviously throwing out the "I'm a mother" card. We then told her, since she wanted it so badly, she could have our table and the food. We left, and then we realized, since the shop was useless at supporting us, we wanted our money back, so we went back to get a refund. The whole time I interpreted for my husband to get the refund, I saw the lady with the child who swapped our card was staring at us worriedly, perhaps wondering if we were going to complain about her. Anyhow, when we got the refund, we walked out and she pretended to feed her child. I just said, "Hope you are proud of your values to your kids after your self-entitled behavior earlier." I didn't bother to translate. I'm sure she got my meaning. We didn't ask the other lady to clarify. We should have, but my guess at seeing her face, she would have feigned ignorance. My guess, seeing how she threw her card out, it was not her first time either. I am surprised, as we have never had this situation in Japan of parental self-entitlement. So was disappointed, as we have visited a few times and love the place. It did not spoil our holidays, but made me now more cautious when going to such places and to sit there while another person orders. I come from a country that has a lesser system than this restaurant in question, and so far, if anyone wants a table that seems empty and they have more people, they will ask politely, and usually we will be okay about it. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.